The following review is intended for entertainment purposes and targeted for adult fans of the series.
Unfortunately, it's ooh, yeah. Hello there, heroes! I'm the Orange Ranger, and welcome to another Power Rangers Dino Fury episode review. 2 great episodes have kicked the season off, so why waste any more time? Let's take a look at the 3rd episode of Dino Fury, Lost Signal.
Please make sure you're subscribed to the channel.
Yeah, and make sure you got your notifications set up by hitting that little bell icon. Right you.
What he said was, you can consider checking us out on Patreon or Ko-fi at OrangeRangerVideos.
At Dinohenge, Zayto is looking at a pendant that he usually wears around his neck. He has a flashback of receiving the pendant from his mother, a gift for becoming a Knight of Rafkon. She says that being a knight is dangerous, but that he should never give up. Amelia shows up and asks about the pendant and his home planet of Rafkon. Zayto can only say that Rafkon is home, which kind of makes sense because everything we've seen of it thus far is a whole lot of desert.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating.
She tells him that they picked up a signal on the comms and Solon wants him to come take a look. They walk off camera, but then in the next shot, they teleport down. Maybe they just don't get a good teleportation signal in that part of the area. Interference from the Dinohenge statues or something. Solon says they received a signal from deep space, the same galactic quadrant as Rafkon, so maybe it's from there. Okay, I did the math on this because of course I did. The Milky Way galaxy is about 8 trillion cubic light years. We won't worry about a solar-centric view of the galaxy, and we'll just divide that up evenly. So each galactic quadrant is about 2 trillion cubic light years. 1 light year is about 5.78 trillion miles. So translating those 2 trillion cubic light years into miles, a proportional quadrant of the galaxy is about 11.56 septillion cubic miles. That is 1156 followed by 24 zeros. Nerd! That's never been in question, but here's my point. Sure, the signal may have indeed come from the planet Rafkon, but assuming that Rafkon is about the same size and shape as the planet Earth, it is 2 quadrillionths, that's a decimal, of the possible space that it could have come from. Here's my bottom line. I really think Solon was getting Zayto's hopes up for no reason.
Get on with it!
Can't even begin to tell you how much I missed you, MPG. Solon goes to play the message, but the Technobabble what's-it futzes up and breaks. The component that they need to fix it was only made on the planet Rafkon, so oopsie daisy. Amelia suggests going to see a psychic.
Excuse me, what?
Okay, I get that she's Little Miss Paranormal, but this is a leap in logic that I can't quite follow her on. Ollie objects because Amelia's paranormality plus Ollie's skepticism equals easy conflict. He knows some folks over at the local observatory, and they probably picked up the message as well, so maybe they know something about it. Like the calm, level-headed leader that he is, Zayto says they can try both plans, starting with the psychic. Ollie points out that the psychic cost $15. How does he know how much it costs? That's interesting. But Amelia assures Zayto that she can get the money, then turning to Ollie and asking if she can borrow it.
I want to buy him! Can I borrow $2?
Isn't Amelia the one that has a job? Anyway, I'm gonna be honest here. What comes next is a Jane and Jayborg scene that really wasn't funny and honestly didn't contribute anything to the plot, at least at this point.
Moving right along.
The Rangers go to see Madame Indigo, a psychic at what looks like kind of a carnival fair setup situation. She asks to see Zayto's pendant and says, indeed, she feels the energies from it, indicating that someone very, very far away is desperate to get in contact with him. Amelia seems convinced, but Ollie throws her an interesting little test. He says that he and Amelia are deeply in love and want to know about their future as a couple. Indigo says that she sees the two of them having a very long and happy romantic relationship. Outside, even Amelia can admit that Madame Indigo is clearly a fraud, since she and Ollie definitely don't have any romantic feelings for each other. So the Rangers decide to try the observatory. Okay, the Jane and Jayborg stuff is ever so slightly story relevant at this point, so I'm gonna blitz through it as quickly as I can. Madame Indigo told Jane that she has psychic powers that can be used when blindfolded, so now Jane is wandering the city blind, looking for Sporix to try to help the Rangers, while Jayborg films it for BuzzBlast. Through the sheer dumb luck of comic relief, Jayborg gets her foot stuck in a bucket of fast-setting cement, which does not set that quickly because then you would not be able to use it, right next to a hatching Sporix. And Jane steps onto a school bus, which drives off with her standing on the stairs, because apparently that's supposed to be funny.
That was not funny.
Jayborg calls the Ranger hotline, and Solon informs the Rangers. Mucus actually arrives to meet the Sporix beast, Vipera, first, but the Rangers arrive a moment later, so she hides. Side note, on Twitter recently, Simon Bennett confirmed that Mucus is female. Vipera is basically Medusa, able to freeze people when they look at the eyes on her chest. She freezes Zayto and then slashes him, and he doesn't die because of main character shields. Ollie quickly picks up on the whole Medusa thing, and the two Rangers morph, knowing not to look at the eyes on Vipera. But, as she points out, fighting without looking at her is going to be rather complicated, and the two of them get smacked around. Mucus then picks up Jayborg's camera, saying this could come in handy, and the two monsters leave. Knowing now that the Ranger hotline works, so they'll find out when Vipera comes back, the Rangers decide to check out the observatory about Zayto's message. But unfortunately, it is another dead end. They did pick up the signal, but just saw it as a strong burst of energy that they couldn't decode, so they decided it was nothing. A crestfallen Zayto says that he needs some time to himself, so he leaves. Amelia gets a text that BuzzBlast's feed is down. YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, lots of feeds in social media, and asks Ollie to come help her take a look at it.
Why?
A worker at BuzzBlast says that everything's fine on the technical end, the video feed just isn't working for some reason. We quickly find out why, as it's been hacked by Mucus and Vipera using Jayborg's camera, and I'm guessing an Area 62 laptop, to broadcast a signal of her stare out to anyone watching BuzzBlast, freezing them. And thankfully, the episode points out this could be thousands of people. It's not like we're pretending that even everyone in the city is watching BuzzBlast. The next scene is a little good and bad. It feels like at this point, Russell Curry was still trying to figure out the best way to play Zayto's stoicism, as even when he gets excited, it's still a little bit underplayed, and honestly, I was getting some Troy flashbacks. So Solon pulls up the signal, momentarily freezing Zayto before turning it back off, her cyborg eyes making her immune. She lost her eyes in that fight? Dang. He calls Ollie and Amelia, but of course they're frozen and can't respond. Zayto gets frustrated, can't fight the monster, can't decode this stupid message, he just feels useless. He'd been looking at the pendant again, and he's still holding it, and Solon notices it and asks to see it. Then we get a dramatic convenience, but one that is at least consistent and pretty understandable in terms of the plot. It is made of the same crystal that is in the Technobabble What's It, meaning Solon can use it to fix the receiver.
Oh well, gosh darn, ain't that convenient.
Zayto flashes back again, remembering that his mom was a big Wild Force fan, so never give up, and he thinks of another way to fight the monster. He grabs the Dino Sonic Key, figuring if he can hear really well, maybe he doesn't need to see. He heads to the roof of Buzz Blast and activates the key by putting it in his saber and chomping it 7 times. This is something I didn't even get in Ryu's Soldier. Why do you need to do it more than twice? The Dino Sonic Key basically works like Doppler radar, allowing Zayto to see with his ears and avoid Vipera's attacks. He then hears the video feed, running over to the laptop and destroying it. This frees Ollie and Amelia, who show up to the fight morphed. Vipera jumps off the building and grows giant-sized. Solon says that the Tricera and Ankylozords are still booting up, but sends the T-Rex Champion Zord in the meantime. However, Zayto still can't look at Vipera, so it doesn't start out too well. Solon then sends out the new Zords, which they don't name fully, but I'll go ahead and do so. The Tricera Blade Zord, whose third horn is a gigantic sword, and the Ankylo Hammer Zord, whose tail is a buzzsaw. Just kidding, it's a hammer. They attack, commanded from the ground by the Rangers, but they realize they're going to need a plan. They come up with one together. The Tricerazord cuts a chunk out of the street, which the Ankylozord then smashes with its hammer tail, sending the chunks over to the Rangers. Amelia then uses the hover key to freeze the chunks of the street in place, punching them back towards the monster. Ollie then just says, "Fix it quick," and uses a key, the Fix It Quick key, to reform the chunks into the street piece, now stuck to the monster's chest, blocking her eyes.
I love it when a plan comes together.
Actually, speaking of things coming together, Zayto has the two throw their keys at the Zords, and the three come together to form the Dino Fury Megazord. As you'd imagine, in a Megazord debut, things don't last all that much longer from there. Zayto summons the Mega Fury Saber, and dear Zordon, in his shiny glass tube, they actually used a sword weapon to power a sword finisher. Void Knight makes a surprisingly brief appearance, coming to get the powered-up Sporix, but this time the Rangers suddenly show up, and they get to say,
"You gotta be quicker than that."
I was bracing myself for a comic relief ending, but thankfully they didn't go that direction. Solon was able to use the middle chunk of Zayto's pendant to fix the receiver, and they play the message. Unfortunately, they can't understand the message, which means it's either in some alien language that Solon doesn't know, or possibly French, because she was never able to master that one either. But that's okay, because Zayto has learned the moral of the episode: never give up. In fact, with the Who's-A-What's-It repaired, he can use the transceiver to send a message out, reporting that he's on Earth and asking anyone from the planet Rafkon to contact him. The message broadcasts across the entire galaxy and definitely won't be a plot point in any future episodes. I'm a simple man. I see scales, I balance them. Episode 3, Lost Signal. Pros: some nice dynamics between Ollie and Amelia despite being a Zayto focus episode. Zayto gains some real depth and emotion through backstory, and the Dino Fury Megazord is pretty cool. Cons: Jane and Jayborg are the useless comic relief duo we were told we weren't getting. Zayto's acting is a little hit or miss, and Amelia needs a paranormal win versus Ollie. We're definitely settling in, but for some seasons, that's not a bad thing. Lost Signal gets 4 scales out of 5. Unfortunately, we've hit the first bump in the road for Dino Fury scheduling-wise. Next Saturday, March 13th, sees the return of the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards. And seeing as Dino Fury has only aired 3 episodes, it's not nominated for any. And Nick has a frustrating policy of not airing any shows that are not nominated for awards on KCA Saturday. So, no new episode of Dino Fury next week. I'm thinking about doing a what we know so far kind of retrospective video of the first 3 episodes, but we'll see. But we can still take a peek at the 4th episode of Dino Fury, airing in 2 weeks, New Recruits. Void Knight's new general, Boom Tower, tries to steal a mysterious orb from the city museum. When the Rangers struggle to stop him, they receive help from an unexpected source. That's going to do it for another Power Rangers Dino Fury episode review. Thank you, heroes, so much as always for watching. Now that the video's done, you can let me know what you thought of this episode, as well as my review of it, down in the comments below. While you're down there, make sure you smack that thumbs up button to let me know that you enjoyed this video. And remember, if you like the look of my channel, that I have a Teespring store that you can check out for shirts and mugs and masks and etc, etc. Until next time, heroes, may the power protect you. Let's take a look at the third episode of... I feel like I said let's take the look. Telling him that being a knight is dangerous, but to never give... A proportional quadrant of the galaxy is about 1/11 part. It is... I was right. That's never been in question, but here's my point. The Rangers go to see Madame Indigo, the psychic. Zayto, The Rangers go to see Madame Indigo, the carnival something psychic. Mucus then fix... A crestfallen Zayto needs... farting ears. The Rangers decide to check out the museum about the museum. Amelia gets a text that Buzz Blast feed. A worker at Vipera leaps off the soup. Solon says that the Tricera and Ankylozords are still wrapping. Solon says the Tricera and Ankylozords are still boot. Holly and Amelia are unfrozen and arrive at the fight morphed. Solon says the Tricera... But we can still take a peek at the 4th episode of Dino Fury, airing in 2 weeks. Sample of fluid.